am Kristin Messerli, and I'm the founder of Cultural Outreach. And today I'm really excited to be interviewing Hyepin Im, who's the founder of FACE, Faith and Community Empowerment here in Los Angeles. And she does a lot of homeownership education, among other support for immigrant communities. So Hyepin, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for the invitation.
Yeah, so I wanted to ask you first just to share a little bit about FACE and what you guys are doing as an organization.
Sure. Our organization was founded 17 years ago, and in many ways our inspiration model came from two places. My parents were in ministry, and they were not only preaching the gospel, but they, in essence, ended up being unpaid social workers because the need in the congregation, the community was so great, helping people with jobs and housing, etc. And I always thought there should be a better way, and I grew up and I saw this amazing model at First IMMIGRANT where the church partnered with the broader community, and with that they were able to leverage resources, increase their impact and their influence, and really help people in a much better and systematic way. And so some of the things that we do as an organization, taking that model, we've been able to partner with government entities, corporate entities, media, university, and with that, be able to then bring resources to the community, whether it's on home ownership, foreclosure prevention, affordable housing, digital literacy, capacity building, leadership training, jobs, as well as employment training, and so forth. And so, again, we've had over 500 partners over the years, from the White House to Fortune 500 companies.
Great. Well, I have just been so interested in everything that you're doing, particularly in different immigrant communities.
Yes.
And something that we've talked about before that I'd love for you to share with everyone is what are some of the cultural nuances or differences that you have witnessed in working with so many different immigrant communities and different cultural segments that have impacted your turnout and effectiveness?
Well, I could just take a case in point. Back in 2002, when I looked around, there was this amazing resource from the city of LA with over $160,000 in down payment assistance. And looking at home ownership fairs, you wouldn't really see Asians or Koreans present. And many people would think, oh, you know, those Asians, they have that model minority strength, and so really they're probably not here because they don't need this kind of assistance. But you know, I knew better, and even now the Korean community in LA County have the lowest homeownership rate of any ethnic group. And so back then I thought, you know, we should try to figure out how to bring this resource to the community. And long story short, we were able to help translate what was there in terms of what was it that soft second means. You know what soft second, I think even the average American will go, what's that, right? But when we share with the community with some success stories that it means free down payment assistance, you know what, the Korean community were like, wow, this is like money coming down from heaven, right? And at our fair, 600 people turned out for the event. And you know, in addition, one of the bankers did a credit score check. 125 people did it. They told us 95% of that 125 had credit scores over 750 plus, right? It was just like, wow. Yeah. And, you know, and suddenly all the banks who may have participated reluctantly or maybe just as kind of a do-good, or, you know, they're being forced to do it because they're supposed to do it, well, that attitude and spirit went from, you know, like, gosh, you know, how can I help you, to like, how can I help you, right? That enthusiasm of realizing there are some untapped markets that they're missing out on, right?
Exactly.
And so for us, you know, part of our success was recognizing that in the Korean community, we had such a high language barrier, which is a barrier, right? So the universal outreach does not reach the Korean community, or probably many other communities as well. But focusing on the Korean community, we knew that the Korean ethnic community, as well as the church community, because 75% of our community is connected to the Korean church. So using those two major mobilization vehicles, again, we were able to turn out that 600 numbers. And I think at the, you know, those heydays of when home ownership was really hot, we had like 1,000 people turn out for our event. So for each community, I think there are outreach vehicles, right, that are unique to those markets. And recently we've reached out and worked with the Chinese community. Next month we're working with the African immigrant community. You know, a lot of times you think, well, the African American market, we get it, we know it. You know, we've been looking at it for the last, I don't know, 5, 6 decades. Well, the thing is that the African immigrant community, even there's people from Ghana, from Uganda, Kenya. I mean, you could just name so forth. And so again, these subgroups, if you use the universal approach, you're not going to reach those markets, or at least you're not going to maximize the potential that is out there. And again, these are English-speaking audiences, let alone all the other, right? So many of the Asian community, over 70%, maybe 77% are foreign-born in the Asian community. And so really, each of them, there's some huge potentials there. But even in the English-speaking African immigrant segment, they have their channels of communication and outreach. And so it'll be really exciting to be able to then reach those markets. And whenever we share, there's such excitement from those communities with such gratitude. And so it's like doing good doing well while doing good.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you touched on such important principles here. One is that this is a huge opportunity. Businesses are overlooking so many communities that would qualify for great loans, conventional loans even, and would really thrive in this market, but are overlooked because they're not being marketed to in a way that they understand. And also, you're connecting church or communication channels.
Yes.
And so many businesses don't go that direction. They try the one mainstream approach instead of looking at what are the areas that they're communicating in, what social media platforms are they using, what channels within the community are they using to get their news. And I think you really touch on a huge opportunity for businesses, and those practices are really important for everyone to understand.
And I do really want to emphasize that the faith community is usually overlooked. But for many immigrant communities, when they come to the United States, that's the place. Even if they weren't a believer, whatever faith it may be, many times they end up seeking those communities because it's familiar, it's free, it's accessible, and those are the communities in which they get information. Maybe it's not the best information, and that's where our organization comes in terms of trying to help build that capacity, build those connectivity to the broader community and the broader market, whether it's mortgage companies, government entities, all those different segments and partners that really help strengthen the individual or the family's capacity to assimilate into American life and to achieve the American dream.
So one thing that businesses often don't think about around multicultural strategies is really the economical benefit and how that can be beneficial to them. So can you expand a little bit on that?
So actually, many times when companies, corporations think about investing in multi-ethnic markets, they actually think, oh my gosh, that will be so expensive. You have to do the Chinese, the Korean, the Vietnamese. But what they don't realize is that when you use this targeted approach with the right partner, then in many ways the ethnic media is so affordable. It's a cost-effective option. And the fact that whenever mainstream resources, whatever that may be, invest in these communities, it catches the community's attention because it's such a rare event. And so in that way, there's kind of a corralling of community resources and attention. And so really between the ethnic media as well as the faith community, again, as mentioned, there are so many ethnic communities, immigrant communities who rely on the faith community for information and access. So by accessing both connections, you will get to maximize the return on your investments. And as mentioned, it is so much more economical than trying to use that universal approach that you don't know who you're targeting and it's just out there.
Yeah,
as
definitely. Well, I'm really excited about everything you're doing. How can businesses be involved with you? How can we support you as a business community and also kind of leverage that opportunity?
Thank you so much for asking. As mentioned, we've had over 500 partners, right, over the years. And I think there's some consistent, principles of any partnership where both entities bring certain gifts and strengths and be able to then compensate for someone else's, the partner's area where they may need so. So for us as an organization, I believe that our strength is in reach to these subgroups, right? Whether it's the Korean or the Asian market and maybe even other faith communities of other ethnic groups as well. And the fact that we have that strength in terms of also really leveraging the faith outreach as well as the ethnic outreach with the ethnic media. And also then locally and nationally, we are connected. And so that's the strength that we can bring, whether it's through social media, through the ethnic or the faith community. I think for the business community, they're advertising anyway. Right, and so in that way, there might be some opportunities, as we have done in the past, where we could be able to be co-branded, as well as obviously financial resources always allow us to be able to do more effectively. And so we've done special workshops in partnership with the different partners, or we've been able to also highlight some of their specialty products that maybe their other competitors may not have as well. We have hosted home ownership fairs, home buyer education classes, for which I believe the business lenders can partner with us at the smaller market as well as the larger market. And we are very excited about the opportunity to take this opportunity locally and nationally. So even in the local market, as mentioned, there's a lot of sub-segments within the Asian community, the African immigrant community, you could name it. But also nationally, there are such a hunger because people don't know what they don't know. Right. And so we will welcome the opportunity to collaborate and be able to partner, as well as be able to share marketing platforms as well.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to share. Just in review, I think it's really important for businesses to take advantage of the information here and be able to really market not from a mainstream approach, but take a look at specific segments and where they're getting their news, how to market to them in language and in culture. And then, of course, the opportunity to work with your organization and others like hers. So thank you so much for being here, and I know our audience gained a lot from your insight.
Thank you so much.